What do these teal tiles
I'm
mean?
kind of confused.
NRL and WNRL stars, past and present, have coordinated the mass posting of this colour across social media. But why? Is it the players expressing their love for the ocean, or maybe their shared appreciation for the underrated teal colour? No, it actually all pertains to the fact that NRL and WNRL players are outraged they have not been consulted before the public release of the record $12.1 million salary cap that headlines the NRL's new collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. You might be thinking, oh, bloody spoiled athletes getting a record salary cap and still whinging. Well, before we jump to conclusions, let's have a detailed breakdown of what concerns the Rugby League Players Association, or RLPA, and how these concerns are more complex than a simple salary dispute. Before we start, we must understand the two stakeholders at war. Firstly, the NRL, run by the Australian Rugby League Commission, led by Chairman Peter V'landys, who's the head honcho for the single controlling body and administrator of Rugby League. Underneath him is the CEO of the National Rugby League, Andrew Abdo, with these two working in tandem to manage the NRL. In the other corner is the Rugby League Player Association, or the Players Union, who represent the players' rights and work in their best interests. Chairman Dr. Deidre Anderson and CEO Clint Newton speak on behalf of the players, with current stars on the RLPA board like President Daly Cherry Evans and directors like Christian Welch and Hannah Southwell, just to name a few. The issue at hand is the collective bargaining agreement, a contract that dictates the rules of player contracts, the club's salary caps, the management of the health and well-being of players, amongst many other things. Every 4 or 5 years, a new CBA is usually signed, as both stakeholders need to agree to the contract if the competition is to start. Right now, both sides won't budge on the terms and conditions, and it's created an ugly rift between the players and the NRL. This debate started on December 22nd, when the NRL provided the RLPA with a 185-word financial proposal as part of the collective bargaining agreement. This document, according to the RLPA, lacks significant detail, with the NRL expecting a response by Thursday the 22nd of December. The RLPA were given the extension to the 23rd of December, but chose to neither accept or deny the financial terms, as they were only given 2 days to deliberate, and felt it would be irresponsible to accept a proposal that severely lacked detail on behalf of all the players. The deadline for the NRL's proposed agreement would pass, and without further discussion, the NRL would post numerous financial details into the public, including the salary cap, salary structure, veteran player allowances, player insurance, and post-career support, just to name a few. The new record $12.1 million salary cap for 2023 became the headline across all sports media outlets. News would come out that the players were not happy with the CBA, which of course has caused outrage, with the players being labelled greedy by many fans. The RLPA itself would say the decision to publicly release the financial details before any agreement was a direct ploy from the NRL. By highlighting the bright and shiny new salary cap in the media, a rhetoric could be created that the players are being spoilt, and hoping that they could be pressured into signing the terms because of the backlash. Director at the RLPA, Christian Welch, the Players Association had been trying to get in contact with the NRL 14 months prior to start talks on the CBA early to avoid this situation. He said it took the NRL 7 months to even start talks with the RLPA on financial information, saying the NRL doesn't seem to take the RLPA seriously. Although there have been CBA issues in other sporting codes, the NRL's decision to make this information public to pressure players to agreeing is unprecedented. In no major sporting competition globally, to my recollection, has this taken place. This quote by RLPA Chair Deidre Anderson would sum up the players' stance on the issue. For a governing body to set its own salary cap disrespects the entire player representation movement and the importance of collective bargaining. Today's announcement goes against negotiation in good faith and only damages the trust between the players and the governing body. Feeling unheard and neglected by the NRL, the players chose to stand united against their employers by mass posting teal to Instagram. 4 NRL clubs are also chosen to boycott NRL media appearances, refusing to partake in any NRL-affiliated media commitments until an agreement is reached. They did this to create awareness to why they would not accept the NRL's terms, and for fans to understand that this was a protest, not out of greed. So what do the players really want? Let's analyse. A new medical support fund. NRL players currently have up to 12 months of retirement to conduct any surgeries and rehabilitation that will be paid for by the NRL. Due to the physical nature of rugby league, players often have injuries well into their retirement, and surgeries can't be stacked all within a year, meaning many players have to pay out of their own pockets. in their retirement. It is not uncommon for rugby league players to suffer injuries during their career that linger and prevent them from working after retirement. The RLPA want players to have access to a medical support fund that ensures athletes will have surgeries covered further into their retirement. We have seen the defrauding of health and welfare schemes in other sports like the NBA, where retired players were charged for abusing the system. That is obviously a concern for the NRL, but for a contact sport like rugby league, the 1 year limit for healthcare seems ludicrous, and at the very minimum should be extended to at least 3 to 5 years after retirement. Joe Nullivow, a former NRL player who spent 15 years in the league, provided his perspective, being retired now for a decade, saying, "The long-term physical impacts of playing rugby league are mostly overlooked and underreported." Eric Grothe Jr. would add to this, saying he had 8 knee operations and still suffers from heavy migraines to this day. The NRL has shown more care towards players with improved concussion protocol, but this care needs to be extended into players' retirements. Next, the first ever NRLW CBA. Currently, the NRLW has no CBA. That means the players have no security in their rugby league careers. And when I say no security, I mean it. The NRLW players receive contracts for the 4-month season, and as soon as the season concludes, they are contractless. So as of now, every woman in the NRLW is jobless with no safety net. They provided no insurance for injuries and no pregnancy policies. For example, a female player who featured in the World Cup or in the upcoming All-Star game risked their future career if an injury is to occur. Ali Brigginshaw, Broncos skipper, stated, "I haven't been on a field since the World Cup final because I don't want to risk an injury." These are the women that are working second jobs whilst playing in the NRLW to make ends meet, all in an effort to hopefully raise the NRLW's stature to a household competition. The next CBA does see a 153% increase in salary cap for the NRLW, and this is honestly a massive win for the competition, as it will give some female athletes the opportunity to go full-time in the sport. The NRL saw a record revenue of $600 million. They have the excess cash, so why not invest it into the female game? There has been consistent growth globally, monetarily, and in viewership in professional female sports across the globe, and the ARLC have the opportunity to be ahead of the curve, so why not be proactive? It goes without saying the NRL players themselves have accepted to give part of their revenue to grow the NRLW game. The NRLW players have also countlessly stated that the issue is not the money, but rather there is no framework in place, with no minimum wage set, no time frame on the upcoming season. And the backflip on Origin games, there is absolutely no certainty for the players. The direct competitor, the AFLW, has a complete CBA with an assurance on minimum salary, contracts and health insurance. All the NRLW are asking for is a framework, an assurance that if they do sacrifice their body and time to build the sport, they will receive the basic rights that they deserve. Better terms for the most vulnerable players. This point is one that isn't so straightforward. The security of employment for the lower and middle income earners are essential to the development of rugby league. Fringe players provide quality to the reserve grade and help develop the young stars on their road to first grade. The RLPA is asking for better minimum salaries, more contracts and contract certainty, match fees and transition benefits. The sacrifice that young athletes make for the game cannot be understated, unable to work full-time jobs due to their rugby league commitment, moving interstate and commuting multiple hours to training 3 times a week. Their commitment to the sport throughout the junior levels keeps the sport alive. And in terms of contract certainty and an increase to the fund that fringe players will receive outside of the top 30, I don't think the RLPA is asking for very much. The RLPA do want the minimum salaries though to be increased from $80,000 to $150,000 for their top 30 squads in the NRL, which does seem like a drastic jump. The NRL offered a minimum salary of $120,000 in their recent proposal, and that feels like a suitable increase from the NRL. The following 4 requests from the RLPA aren't too contentious, so I'll run through them quickly. A new past player program. According to the RLPA, bill is done by the NRL to ensure players transition to new careers after NRL retirement. Players often retire with 0 skills outside of rugby league and are extremely vulnerable after retirement. Not every player has a decade-long career and can transition straight into a media or coaching job in the NRL. The average NRL career is only 45 games, and many find retirement a struggle financially as well as mentally. A new past player program that includes helping find players qualifications and jobs post-footy, as well as making sure they are mentally well, is what the RLPA want, and I think that's pretty fair. An improved hardship fund, a fund for players that suffer serious injuries and are ineligible for a new contract until fully rehabilitated. Previously the fund was at $3 million in 2019 before the pandemic, and it was understandably decreased to $1 million, a fair share of the revenue. The previous CBA constructed saw players take a 47.8% revenue share across the NRL and NRLW. The new CBA sees a record salary cap increase, but the actual share of the NRL's revenue the players will receive has actually dropped. During the pandemic, players took a 20% cut to all their salaries, amounting to a total of $98 million to help the NRL stay afloat. The players are now not asking for more, but just want the same revenue share from the previous CBA. And seeing the NRL has just seen its highest ever revenue return in 2022, this also seems fair. Finally, fair agreement rights. This is just the players wanting a seat at the table when it comes to making any employment-related changes during the current CBA, including any proposed increase to fines, changing the length of the season, and policies relating to criminal proceedings. For example, if the NRL chooses to expand the season to 28 rounds, the players have no say in that decision currently. Most major sporting codes globally give the players these rights, with the demands seemingly reasonable as well. It's clear that this whole ordeal isn't a cash grab from the players, but more a concern over basic rights. There are genuine issues in the current CBA proposed to the players by the NRL. A reminder that this video was created to inform the viewers, but is also obviously containing my opinion, which is no more important than any single viewer. Leave in the comments down below what you guys think about this situation. Are the players being greedy, or are their propositions quite fair? I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Let's hope the NRL season can start smoothly for our sakes, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Thank you as always for watching.